Welcome back. The birth of Australia's first IVF surrogate baby was one of the most illuminating and heartwarming stories last year in 1988. Linda Kirkman gave birth for her sister Maggie, and the result was Alice, who today is celebrating her first birthday. So please welcome Maggie, her husband Sev, and of course the birthday girl, Alice. And everything is there. If you might just like to take a look at the at my little table, everything is there to bribe Alice if she screams or cries or even looks unhappy. There are biscuits there, and there are rattles, and there are all sorts of things. Maggie, this time a year plus 9 months ago, all of a sudden you were to be swept into headlines right around Australia. Just take us through the stages of the development of this story, which took Australia by storm, as it were.
Well, I guess I'd have to go back to 85 when Sev and I were married, about 5 minutes after we met. And Sev said to me, wouldn't it be nice to have children? And by that time I knew I didn't have a uterus and he didn't have any sperm. And I thought, oh, and I've married him too. So then we thought about it a bit longer, and he said, it was Sev who came up with the idea of surrogacy. And the thought had never occurred to me, and I thought Linda would probably be in that. And it still took me a while to come to grips with the idea, because I'd got so used to the idea that I couldn't possibly have children. So we mentioned it to Linda, or no, we had planned to mention it to Linda at a dinner party. And I had opened my mouth to say something, and Linda said, I couldn't have a baby for you, Maggie. And we said, well, how did you know about that? So well, we were going to ask, I said, but we were going to use IVF. And she said, oh, if it's your egg, that's different then. And what upset her was the thought of giving away her own baby.
This is at a party you mentioned?
Well, it was having dinner at her house.
Oh, right. I was going to say it'd be a wonderful night for the guests.
No, no, we didn't do anything that publicly. And then Linda thought it was great. And we stewed it over for a few weeks, and her husband thought it was a good idea after he'd realised it wouldn't upset their children. They went through everything they could think of, every way it might affect their children. And we waited a couple of more months thinking about it until we went to see John Leeton. And we explained to him that Sev was infertile and I didn't have a uterus, but we had this terrific idea. And he went, a lot. And then he said, well, it's medically possible, but I think you might have some problem legally. So then we had to start going through various committees, and we had a few rejections. But I wrote to the Solicitor General, who said that it wasn't illegal as far as he knew, and I'll just give one of the bribes over here.
Beautifully done.
And he gave us his opinion that it was possible to do that, and we wrote to the Minister for Health, who wrote us back wishing us luck. We thought, well, we're fine. So in, must have been September of 87, I had an operation to remove eggs from me, and then they were fertilised with sperm from a donor. And then when we had 2 embryos from that, they were transferred to Linda. It was a bit complicated there for a while.
I'm with you.
And one of them developed. And tra-la.
It's her birthday
today.
Yes.
It was a bit more complicated than that because Linda unfortunately had some complications with her pregnancy. She had a condition called placenta previa.
What's
where
that?
The placenta implants much too low in the uterus, almost over the cervix, so the baby can't get out without creating a lot of havoc and probably killing itself and Linda in the process. So she had to stay in hospital for 2 months, which was not part of the plan and was nothing to do with IVF or surrogacy. It's just one of those things that happen with pregnancy because there's a big threat of risk of bleeding.
Sure.
And so I would go in there early in the morning and go home again late at night.
But she overcame that, obviously.
She overcame that, and Alice was born a month prematurely.
Sev, what made you decide to go public on this?
We would have liked to be private, of course. Someone blew the gaff on us, and we were warned one Monday night that the Sun was going to come out with it front page first thing the next morning. The only thing you can do then is to say, right, we want to tell the story if it's going to come out in our own way, fully, so we gave the media 48 hours unrestricted access. And that was exhausting but also great fun, and we hope it's helped a number of other people.
As is always the case, there'll be people who'll take a moral standpoint for you. But before you decided to go ahead with the program, did you have to do very much thinking about it from a moral point of view?
We had to go through all the things which could go wrong, and there are a lot of things which go wrong in an ordinary pregnancy. There's more where you have babies having to be handed over from one sister to another, a whole lot of medical problems, even some legal problems. We went right up to the State Ministry to find out that it was entirely legal and we could do it, and yes, we had their blessing. And the Pollies were really tremendous over giving us support.
As far as I was just going to answer the moral
parties.
question a bit more, because obviously we had to think about whether it was morally wrong, and there were several aspects of this. One was, I think the primary one, were we doing a disservice to Alice? Was it immoral to bring her into the world in such an unusual way? And in those terms we decided that in fact she was probably going to be a very lucky baby, wanted by her whole family, and it wasn't as though she was being given birth to by a stranger. It was her aunt, whom she would know from the moment she was born and keep on knowing.
When will you tell her the truth?
Well, I think it will just be something that she knows from the beginning.
Will evolve.
Yes. We've got photographs up of the four of us, Linda and her husband and Sev and me, with Alice, and we will start when she's old enough to know what these are and say, well, this...
So it'll be perfectly natural to her.
Yes, I think so.
Well, it's a very important birthday, not only for Alice, but also, of course, for you and for us too. And this is for Alice.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
This is Minnie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Sev, and to young Alice, a very long and a very happy life.